reflections on being a professional filmmaker. That's what today's video is about. I think one of the big things that I really wasn't aware of is that it's more than just loving to capture images with your camera, more than loving light and loving telling stories. That's a big part of it, and it's really important. But when you're out there trying to make a living being creative, it can be hard, and it can really kind of wear you out and make you not love that craft as much. And as I talked about in my video a couple weeks ago, finding ways to keep that creative spark going and staying passionate is something that I've learned is really important. And when I got into this work, I was a farmer. I was growing vegetables and feeding a community, basically. And I was doing that for 10 years, and I got quite good at it. And I think a thing about that job that I really appreciated and didn't know how much I appreciated was that it was simple in a lot of ways. Now, don't get me wrong, farming has its own set of complications that make it a skilled job. It's not easy, but it's straightforward in a lot of cases. And at the end of the day, I could go home and I could say, I did a good job. I weeded this bed of carrots, or I planted those seeds, or I harvested that lettuce. And that's something that with filmmaking, I have lost a little bit. There's this need to think so big picture often that it's unclear if you've completed anything in a day. I didn't realize how much value I really was getting out of the simplicity of a task list that was completable. And so I think finding ways to do that, if you're looking at doing this professionally, is really important. And a really good way to just make sure you feel that sense of accomplishment at the end of your day. Another thing that I've noticed over the years is it's really easy to compare what you're doing to what other people are doing. And while I think it's great to draw inspiration from others and use that to push your own work forward, what we're seeing online just doesn't paint that full picture necessarily. And it's really an important thing to keep that perspective. I think to be a little bit open and honest on my own journey, I've kind of moved from a place of wanting to share that fully curated experience of what it's like to do this work into more of an honest experience of what it's like to do this work. And that's a little bit of what this video is. Right now, it's a really slow time of year for me, and it's a slow moment in general. And I'm finding that really challenging. Finding ways to stay motivated and inspired, and also feel like you're actually able to pay the bills. There's a big piece of this profession when you're at that sort of one-person show level where you're kind of living through that feast and famine lifestyle. Sometimes it's really busy and you can't keep the work off of your plate. But then there are other times, which is where I'm at right now, where it's slow and it's living on a very small amount of money to make it through to when those next jobs come. And so that's something I think you really have to be prepared for. And maybe once you get to a certain level, some of this sort of inconsistency and swinging in incomes maybe balances out a little bit. But it's something I didn't fully expect and fully understand what that would look like in life. And when it happens, it's easy to get complacent and not do anything that's pushing your career forward. And so I've really been lately just putting a lot of effort towards the networking and community building component of this work. I've been so busy over the last 3 years that I had neglected that to a degree. And I think I'm recognizing how important that is to continue to steward those relationships. Now, something else that we are probably all guilty of to some degree is the gear acquisition thing. The next camera is going to make our work that much better. That if we just had that lens, that we would be making the most beautiful images. And what I've come to realize is gear acquisition is a really easy solution. Just throw money at a problem, whereas focusing on your own skills and developing concepts for projects and enhancing your ability to light and find angles and all those sorts of things, that's harder. It takes more energy, and that's the stuff that's really going to matter. And so over the last year or two, I've been shifting my focus away from gear, more into the concept development, more into the business end of things, and how do I run a successful business? Capturing great images is a critical part of this. But if you don't have the record-keeping systems in place, and if you don't have the networking and the cold pitching and just the writing skills and communication skills, those pieces are going to hurt you a whole lot more than not having the best camera. I love the freedom that this job has allotted me. When I was a farmer, I was often tied to my farm and I could never get away. And I know that that's not what I want. But it's also hard to always feel like you're in that hustle. And there's part of me that loves it, and there's part of me that just would like to go to work and come home and clock out at the end of the day. So it's not always roses. But for now, I'm happy where I'm at. Starting to think about, are there different ways I can present myself in the world that will lead me more towards stability and more towards working in a team and in collaboration? Because I think that's the biggest piece that I've learned over these 5 years is I miss working with a crew of people. When I was farming, I had a group of staff that we were all working towards that same goal, and that piece is missing a little bit, and trying to figure out how to get to those budgets where you can hire more people and work creatively in collaboration. I think that's the sweet spot for me. I hope this video doesn't come off as like too much of a downer. It's not meant to be a downer. It's meant to be just an honest reflection on what the last couple years have really shown me, but what I've picked up over the 5 years of doing this. It's easy to show the pretty side of any job on the social media platforms, just posting those good moments. And I think it's really important to look back and reflect on some of the things that aren't working, and to be honest with people that are looking to you for advice and perspective that might be pursuing this. And that's where the motivation for this video comes from. And so with all that, I still plan to be, pushing forward in this, and I'm excited for evolving the type of work that I'm doing. I really want to push myself into new spaces that will encourage me to learn and try new things and meet new people and tell different types of stories. And so those are the things that are getting me excited at the moment, and also really scared to branch out and do something that I'm maybe less good at or maybe less comfortable with. So yeah, those are the things that I'm thinking about. Thanks for listening. I hope there's a bit of value in this and in hearing my honest thoughts about where I'm at. Yeah, we'll leave it there for today. Check y'all soon.